checking back in with Quincy City Council President, Councilor at Large Noel DeBona for an update on the February 13th City Council meeting. Good morning, Noel.
Good morning, Joe. How are you?
I'm great. Happy Valentine's Day.
Seems like the weather. Happy Valentine's Day. The weather's getting a little bit better, obviously, too. So we can get out of February and get into March and get into the springtime.
Every day is another day closer. Yes, look forward to that.
Right.
For sure.
And only 28 days in February, so try to get through the short month.
So you were back in session last night, and looks like the Quarry Hills lease proposal was the main item, right?
Yes, it was the main item on the agenda. There was no vote taken last night. Want to thank all the activists that came out last night. It was in committee. It was in the ordinance, which is chaired by Councilor Dave McCarthy. He allowed a public forum, a public input. Was very, very good. Allowed the public to come in and talk about what some of the needs are on their part, which, traffic, ball field conditions, and trails and signage for that. After the public forum and public input was done, Quarry Hills Association, they came in and did their presentation on some stuff. I want to thank them for doing some different trails / signage up there. So they're looking to put some signage up there for some trails that the folks have asked for. They're looking to work with all parties, which means the city, the activists, the Blue Hills, the Friends of the Blue Hills, everybody together. So it looks like it's coming together. There's still some more work to be done on their part that they have to do. It's good having Chuck Phelan, our Ward 5 counselor up there. He was on with the original vote back in the 90s and then in the 2002. So he can talk a little bit about what had happened 20-something years ago when they originally had the vote and what the conditions were back then. Obviously, former Mayor Walter Hannon was at the helm back then in 2002. So he allowed a lot of input, but unfortunately he has passed away a couple of years ago at the age of 86. And now it's brought on to other people that are in charge over there. It changes hands, and this happens over time. And that's why we're putting a little bit more accountability on the fact of the 99-year lease. Where are these benchmarks going to be, 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road? Are you owing up to your end of the bargain? Where are you doing the mitigation? Are you doing the maintenance of the fields? Are you doing the traffic? Stuff like that. So they want the vote, right, Joe? They're going to have to do some work on this one. And that's how I feel about it on my end. I want to see Quarry Hills and Granite Links and the whole operation down there to be very profitable because we get 10%. We get a portion of that. So the more money they're going to make, the more funding the city gets and the more funding that they get for maintenance and mitigation up there for these things. But it's a two-way street here, Joe, and this is government, and they have to give a little bit to get those votes. So there was no vote last night. We're going to probably talk about this in the next few weeks. It could be a month, it could be 2 months down the road, but I anticipate a vote once. And I've talked to the activists about this. So once they come to the table and start doing these conditions, and they got timelines on these conditions, we're going to come to a vote. And we're going to come to a stage where we're going to make a decision on how to vote. Joe, sometimes when you get into these situations and you ask for all these conditions and they're willing to do them and they put it in writing and it's in the contract, now you get to the vote and you don't vote for it. I don't know if that's good government either. So we're going to see if Quarry Hills Associate, I hope they're listening out there. I hope the city is listening, that they come to the table and get these conditions in order, get some extra writing in the contracts, and have some oversight and accountability for this. I have no problem voting yes in the affirmative on this, because at the end of the day, we all want to win. I want them to do what they do diligence on their end. And I also want to see them profit. And I also want to see the city of Quincy profit, where we can say, look at Quincy. We have that beautiful Quincy, Quarry Hills, golf course / open space that we can use, and folks can come there, residents and people from outside the city as well.
I know one of the big areas of concern is that actual intersection, Rashidi Drive and Willard Street. Was that talked about at all, Noel?
That was my number one topic that I talked about down there. Under the Mass DOT, the transportation, it's under the state. Now I've talked to Bruce Ayers, our state representative. He has talked to Senator Keenan about mitigating that. I had Solicitor Timmons up there last night, one-on-one with me, and he told me that was the 5th worst intersection in the state of Massachusetts. So I had mentioned how dangerous it is, and we're going to put that up. Hopefully, we get that up the front of the line. You know, it's also city. We could get some fork in it and do some stuff too. But the stakeholders up at Quarry Hills needs to do that. They're looking to possibly put a simulated light up there. That would allow a lot better because you'll have a stop sign. Not only will be a stop sign, but it will actually be a light so the folks could stop. It's very, very dangerous up there. So that was the number one item that I talked about. And then I talked about the ball fields. And then I talked about a two-way street with the trails and the signage and stuff. So I thought all my fellow councilors did a good job with their input. And I want to thank everybody that came out last night.
Okay. Speaking of fellow councilors, you have a new one now, Noel, right?
Yes, we do. Mr. James Devine is the new Ward 4 councilor. He was sworn in last night with his family, and I wish him the best. He did the first leg of the whole thing, is getting elected, which is a different part of being a politician, is going out there and actually getting votes and doing that. But I got to give him a lot of credit. He was really everywhere out there in the city. He was on QATV quite a bit. He did almost everything that you needed to possibly do to win the seat. So in a special election, it was just over 1,000 votes total in the final special election. I think it was 1,043. And, I wish him the best. Now he's got to get to the work end of it, which is the other part of being in government. So I wish him the best. And I think he's going to go through a learning phase, and I think he'll do a great job.
And I see a couple of resolutions too on the agenda. Did those get passed?
Yes, they did. Obviously these went into different committees. The update on purchase of 6 and 10 McGrath Highway went into finance and oversight committees. That was brought up from Council Mahoney. That was basically the acquisition of to allow the Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. It's right next to the courthouse there in the corner. The old Bickford's, it's now the Galvin building. Right next door to that, there's a little purchase that we made, that the city made, just to have some oversight. It went into committee, and I anticipate that coming out within the next few months. Also, another resolved by Council Liang is the financial policies update. Basically, how we're spending our funding, what's going on, what condition are we in right now as we speak. So those ones that went into oversight committee, and that will probably anticipate, at least with the budget coming, it will come out in the next month or two. So anticipate both of them coming out for some discussion in committees. And that's what's the unique thing, is once these go into committees, we can pull them out, especially oversight. I can start to pull them out on oversight in a regular scheduled council meeting, which is great. As for oversight, as for ordinance and finance, I allow the two chairs to do that. But we've done a lot of the meetings on the front end of the meetings with the oversight, anything to do with pertains to just, oversight of what's going on in the city. So any type of items that went into committee. So I've been doing that all throughout the last year and into this new year with, natural resources update, DPW update, TPAL update, public buildings update. So I foresee these possibly being on the front end of our council meetings as well.
Okay. Anything else we should let folks know about right now, Noel?
Nope, just a meeting on the 27th, which is 2 weeks from now. We'll be back in there, and I wish everybody the best going into obviously Valentine's Day and into February, and hopefully this weather will get better every day, and it looks like it is. I think this last Friday was like 61, 62 degrees. It was beautiful out. Also, I was talking to DPW Commissioner Gracioso, and they said they were doing some work the other day, out in the city, which they never do during the winter. So, and they're getting their bids in and getting ready to go here right into spring, start getting roads and sidewalks done. So The weather gets better, we can start a little earlier and get some work done across the city. Sometimes we do it in-house. So if you see some of the workers out there, we can get some sidewalks done, get some curbing done, because the weather is a little bit more warmer. It's not as frozen as it usually is. So we're going to get a head start on using that. We appropriate $100 million into roads and sidewalks and infrastructure and water mains and sewer. So we're looking forward to getting that stuff in order and working, because it's very important for the infrastructure underneath, but also the roads and sidewalks moving forward. So hopefully we can get a head start on that, Joe. So just want to give that plug out to Commissioner Gracioso, is doing a great job with his team out there.
Very good. And we'll see you at Winterfest, I guess, on President's Day.
Yes, we will, Joe. And thank you for all your coverage on QATV in general, especially for the elections and specials. And we're looking forward to closing out February, the 28 days, but enjoying it as well.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time as always, Noel. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.